Bid requirements. The following slides will highlight some of the bid requirements that will be incorporated into the bid documents for the Pure Water projects. The Pure Water projects will be funded by a number of various sources, including but not limited to state revolving funds and WIFIA. The city will incorporate the subcontracting requirements associated with the funding source for each particular project. If more than one source applies, the most stringent will be included. The slide here shows the current participation levels for safe drinking water and clean water SRF monies. These goals are considered fair share goals, and all contractors submitting bids will be required to submit good faith effort documentation. As noted on the previous slide, fair share goals were established for MBE and WBE certified firms. MBE is a minority business enterprise that has been certified as at least 51% owned by one or more minority individuals. The list of minority groups are shown here. A WBE firm is a woman-owned business and has been certified as at least 51% owned by a woman or women. MBEs and WBEs are part of the larger DBE or Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Group. A firm is considered a DBE if the business is at least 51% owned by a socially and economically disadvantaged individual or individuals. These contracts will not include small local business enterprise or SLBE goals. However, the city encourages primes to be inclusive and provide opportunities for all certified firms on these projects. This slide provides links to the databases that identify certified firms that should be used when soliciting sub-bids for the Pure Water projects. Additional items to consider if you are interested in bidding these projects include the following. Mandatory pre-bid meetings. Each project will hold 2 mandatory pre-bid meetings. Contractors will only need to attend one of the 2 meetings to be considered eligible to submit a bid. Depending on the complexity of the project, Tier 2 pre-qualification requirements may apply. These requirements are different than the pre-qualification requirements covered by James earlier. It is important that bidders understand that these are prior to bid submittal. Finally, all construction projects under Phase 1 of the Pure Water program are subject to a Project Labor Agreement or PLA. Successful bidders and their subcontractors will be required to sign a letter of assent acknowledging they understand and comply with the terms of the PLA. A few key items to bring up regarding the PLA is that there will be a carve-out for DBE firms participating on these contracts. I previously went over the definition of a DBE. However, in the PLA, the definition was modified to incorporate several certifications. In the carve-out, DBEs with subcontracts of $500,000 or less will have slightly different core worker requirements than non-DBE firms and will be exempt from paying fringes and other required employer contributions on behalf of their core employees. This exemption is limited to 1 subcontract per covered project, and the total value of all subcontracts utilizing this exemption shall not exceed 10% of the total value of each covered project. The PLA has also incorporated a clause on the hiring of city residents and targeted workers. A city resident shall be referred first for project work and is defined as a City of San Diego permanent resident at the time of initial employment on a covered project. The goal is to achieve at least 35% of total construction craft hours by city residents. Finally, the PLA has a provision that there will be no work stoppages. Should grievances arise, there are established protocols in place to help quickly resolve and avoid stoppages. The items covered here are not all inclusive of the PLA. We encourage bidders to ensure they read the document in its totality once it has been made available. And that concludes my portion of the presentation.